Welcome to the bookies.com Bookies Plus weekly betting show where you'll get free NFL picks for week 1 from 4 of our gambling experts. Now, make sure you check in each week throughout the season for a new episode. On that note, did you know that Bookies Plus can be found at bookies.com/picks, and we provide free picks from some very accomplished gambling experts? Not only can you find free NFL picks, we've got you covered for just about any sport you like to wager on. Again, be sure to bookmark the bookies.com/pick site so you can refer to it often. And we'll also have a new episode again of this show every Thursday for the remainder of the NFL season. This week, we're going to have picks from Bill Speros, the senior betting analyst for bookies.com. You got Adam, the ATM Thompson, long established as one of the nation's premier handicappers, specializing in the NFL. Over 60% the last 3 years. That way right there. We have Nick the Whale Whalen. Whalen's been in the industry for over a decade, focusing on NBA and NFL. You may recognize his work, RotoWire, VSiN, DraftKings as guest analyst. I'm Jim Coventry. Last season, used my knowledge of individual players, expertise, defensive matchups. My published picks hit over 70% last year. Gentlemen, before we begin, we got a Thursday night game. We got a Friday night game. Any quick hitting thoughts on the Chiefs-Ravens game, which opened the season? We'll start with Bill, then go to Adam, then go to Nick.
Yeah, that's a Taylor Swift vibes. She's going to be there tonight. Chiefs at 8-3-1 on the line when she's in attendance. However, I am counterbalancing that with Lamar Jackson being 12-2 and he's getting points. We had Pat Mahomes 11-2 getting points in the Super Bowl, and we rode that to victory. So I like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens tonight.
Adam.
Yeah, I like the under. I think both quarterbacks is obviously a dynamic quarterback matchup, but the under tends to skew, that way early on in this season. And these are the two returning number 1 and number 2 scoring defenses in the NFL from last year. They allowed a combined 33 points a game last year. They were 2 of the toughest to have big plays against. So I think if anybody's going to score, and there's going to be obviously some scoring, but if anybody does score, I think it's going to be long, sustained, time clock, reducing drives. So I think that makes for a lower scoring game than a lot of people think.
Nick?
I'm with Adam on the under, guys. I like that call. The number's up at 47 right now at DraftKings, 46.5 at FanDuel. I'm fine with either of those. Unders were 12-4 in week 1 last season. Maybe we don't see something quite that extreme this year, but first game of the year, 2 of the best defenses in the NFL last season. Yeah, we have 2 of the best quarterbacks. We got Patrick Mahomes. We got the reigning MVP and Lamar Jackson, but I think this is more of a defensive battle. So the under 47 is my favorite play. I do lean Chiefs to win this game. I don't see them losing 2 primetime Thursday night openers in a row, right? Remember last year, the Lions came in, they win that just bizarre game. No Chris Jones, no Travis Kelce. I think the Chiefs are on a 3-peat mission. I think it starts tonight. So give me the under and give me the Chiefs.
These teams combined for 27 points in the AFC Championship game. Now, I know defensive coordinator Mike McDonald is gone. He's in Seattle. There's enough of the memory of this defense and the coaching staff. It is a deeper move to the new DC, but they still run the same similar system. Yeah, I think both of these teams will struggle out the gate. And Marquise Brown is out. That's a big deal. All right, one more thing on the Friday night game, because we do have Friday night football. You got to have Peacock to watch Thursday and Friday. If you have that, we've got the Eagles, we've got the Packers, we've got it in Sao Paulo, so it's a Brazil game. Bill, any quick thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I like the under at 48.5. God only knows what the field's going to be like. God only knows what the crowd's going to be like. That place has become a literal war zone. I think you can have 2 teams that want to get in, get out, flip a coin, 1 field goal. Let's get on the plane. Let's get out of here. And for people stroking out over the fact that game's not going to be televised, this is due to the NFL's antitrust exemption, which prohibits national telecasts on Fridays. That's why the game is being streamed.
Excellent call on that, Adam Thompson.
Interesting. I like the under too. The field is a great point. There have been international debacles when it comes to grass on these fields, and Jordan Love. A lot of people are high on the Packers, obviously, but Jordan Love he's only been great about half of a season. So let's not go all in yet on the Packers. I think the Eagles. I think you can go all in on the Eagles. I think they're a powerhouse at almost every position. But I'm going to go under as well. I think, like you said, I think this is going to be a don't get hurt on this field. Let's get this game done. Let's win it. But let's just find a way. So I think the defenses are going to rule in Sao Paulo.
Nick.
I'm going to go to a player prop, guys, and I'm with you on the under. I think everybody looks at these two offenses and thinks, oh, man, this could be a 35-33 type of game. And, of course, it could. But I think there are a lot of variables at play here, which you laid out well. But I'm excited to see Christian Watson in full form here for the Green Bay Packers. It's something that's been rare over the last couple of years. He's played in, 23 games over the last 2 seasons. How many of those has he actually been fully healthy for? I don't know, maybe a little over half. Christian Watson participated in every single day of practice during training camp. The hamstring, whatever he did at the UW hospital in the offseason, it appears to be working. I like Christian Watson over 38.5 receiving yards against the Eagles tomorrow night. That's minus 115 at the DraftKings Sportsbook. He's gone over this number in 10 of those 23 career games, and he brings something that no other receiver for the Packers does, right? That size, speed, downfield combination. I mean, this could be 1 or 2 catches for Christian Watson to go over. So even if we get a relatively low-scoring game, I think we see some big plays out of Watson.
I do like the Eagles in this game. First of all, Green Bay is putting in a new defensive scheme. Jeff Hafley takes over for Joe Barry, but there's going to be a little bit of a transition there. The Packers do have some good corners. Jair Alexander's the best, but the other ones are not nearly to that level. I think the run defense is a problem, and the Eagles just have so many weapons. The fact they change coordinators on offense, that doesn't bother me. The offense are going to be a little too much for the Packers to slow down, so I think the Eagles come out ahead in this one. All right, gentlemen, before we begin the rest of the week 1 slate. Remember, week 1 is interesting. We started talking about it. So much change in the offseason. You got coaching changes, personnel changes. Also, players are a year older. We don't know the players on the way up, how much better they're going to get. The players were getting older. We don't know the decline. There's so much we don't know in week 1. So these are things we have to try to factor in because week 1 has its own set of nightmares. Now, remember, you can find the picks we're going to give along with others at bookies.com/picks. We're getting to the picks right now. Bill, what's your first one for us?
I like your Miami Dolphins minus 3.5 at home against Jacksonville. That line opened at 3. So I'm a little nervous about that half. I'd shop around. Jaguars are not good against the cover. They certainly struggled late last year, failed to cover in 5 of 6. I mean, the Dolphins are on a roll at home. They won 19 of 23. I think Tua is my pick to be MVP. I think the Dolphins finally got it together. If he's going to stay healthy, I think they're going to come out of the chute in this one and never be headed, as we would say in the horse racing industry.
All right, so Bill gives us the Dolphins minus the points against the Jaguars. Adam Thompson, what do you got for us?
First off, I love that Dolphins pick as well. That's one of my favorite picks this week. I know Nick is on board too, so that's almost like an all-in level kind of pick. I like the Bills as well. The line has moved a little bit to make it less exciting. When it was at minus 5.5, I like that more than when it was at minus 6. But I just think this Arizona defense is going to be bottom barrel this year, and I have a lot of concerns about the Buffalo Bills. But Josh Allen obviously isn't one of them. They had to get rid of a lot of players to keep paying Josh Allen what he's being paid versus the cap. But I think he's got enough. I just think the front line or the front 7 even of the Arizona Cardinals is going to be a problem. I think their offensive line as well. I think they're a team that's going to be on the rise. But, they're going to be playing up to a dozen rookies in this game at Buffalo in week 1. It's just not a prime spot for them. I think they're going to get better as the season goes on, but for week 1, I like Buffalo to cover.
Nick, like everybody else, you have 3 picks here, but you're going to counter Adams. Why don't we get that one out of the way right now?
I'm on the other side of that Arizona game, guys. I'm aligned with you on Miami. I think we get a high-scoring game there. I know I have some concerns about the Miami offensive line. Obviously, they lose Christian Wilkins, but the Dolphins, all they do is start fast. They have that reputation for a reason. They've started 3-0 each of the last 2 seasons. They're 3-0 ATS at home under Mike McDaniel in the month of September. But you mentioned, Adam, you have questions about the Bills. So do I. And, this is a Bills team that I think we're putting a lot of blind faith in Josh Allen, just, being this heroic quarterback who can, kind of raise the tide on all boats. And your top 2 receivers, Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir, have 49 career NFL receptions. I think you're asking a lot to replace Stephon Diggs, who most people just kind of agree, like, yeah, addition by subtraction. I get it. I mean, Stephon Diggs was fantastic early in the season. Yeah, he faded down the stretch, but he's part of the reason, the Bills were able to get off to the start they did. Keep in mind, this Bills team, after Aaron Rodgers went down 3 snaps into last year, lost to the New York Jets, to the Zach Wilson New York Jets. I mean, they have a history of looking a little bit shaky in these week 1 games. I think Buffalo ultimately ends up being fine as they mesh, as they grow throughout the season. But I think this is a dicey spot for them, given 6.5. I will say, I'm with you on the Arizona defense. This could be one of the worst units in the league. A lot of young talent you're depending on. You got to go across the country to Buffalo. There are things working against Arizona. I'm not taking the Cardinals to win this game outright, but I think they could cover the 6.5, guys. I really think they can. And, a lot of our questions are on the offensive side for Buffalo, but taking away Matt Milano from that defense, I mean, that happening late in the preseason, you don't have a ton of time to prepare. I mean, he is the key defensively. I think that's the most important player they could possibly lose. So I like Arizona's offense to keep them in this game.
My first pick is the Jets plus 4.5 against the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Look, the 49ers offseason hasn't been graceful. Ayuk just signed recently. Trent Williams came in this week. Christian McCaffrey missed most of the preseason with a foot injury, ankle injury. I should say help me out with the injury or calf injury. Christian McCaffrey injury. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey injury. There we go. But also now, I think the offense, they're not going to come in firing on all cylinders. I think it's going to take a little time for them to get settled. Meanwhile, the Jets are elite across the board on defense. Defensive line, they're covered. Linebackers, outstanding. The best 3 cornerback group in the league, in my opinion. Robert Saleh has good knowledge of this offense after having coached with Kyle Shanahan for a while. And it's a little different with McCaffrey there, but he still gets the concepts. And then offensively, look, when the Jets have the ball, don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be, but he'll be protected a lot better than any Jets quarterbacks realize. They brought in 4 new offensive linemen. Week 1, they're healthy. And with the weapons they have, this is a great week. Remember, the 49ers are coming back. No Eric Armstead, he's gone. They have multiple players trying to return from serious injuries. This is a good week, and don't be surprised if the Jets pull the upset here. All right, let's go back around the wheel here. Back to Bill.
Me love the Jets as well. They got Brock Garoppolo back as quarterback. And they have the best roster on the planet, and Brock Garoppolo was quarterback. That's not a winning formula for San Francisco. My second pick here is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also my surprise pick to make the NFC Championship game. Speaking of bringing the gang back together, Baker Mayfield has his 2 binkies back and his tight ends, Baby Gronk and Keith. So I love Tampa's offense. The defense it won't be quite as intimidating as it has been, but against the Commanders, that won't be a problem. The Commanders are 1-6 on the line in their last 7, and they've lost 8 straight. That's not good. The Bucs are in it for real this year. They're in a tough division. They know that. They always seem to come out in the end. They always sort of struggle a bit early, but I think this year's different. They have a lot of cohesion. And I see them getting off to a real solid win on Sunday.
Adam, you have the same game as Bill. Do you have anything to add to your analysis of that?
Great minds think alike. I actually love the Jets as well. I think Aaron Rodgers is the biggest question mark on that team. And if Aaron Rodgers is your biggest question mark, you're probably in pretty good shape. As far as Tampa Bay goes, they brought back, they needed to bring back some key guys, and they did. And they brought back the important ones, including Baker Mayfield. I think Washington is probably a team on the upswing. Their defense, I don't think, will be very good this year. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, they're going with, obviously, and that's a work in progress. They're just a big work in progress. New coach, new quarterback. Defense was decimated by the end of last year. They didn't do enough, in my opinion, to give it, take them seriously, at least in week 1. And Tampa Bay should just hit the ground running. As long as Baker Mayfield picks up where he left off from last year, I think they win by at least a touchdown, and the spread is -3. So I love that pick. I like Tampa Bay at home.
Nick,
my favorite stat of the day on that game, Baker Mayfield is only 29 years old. You think he's like 50, I mean, you think he's like 63, but he's a
grizzled 29-year-old veteran.
He's only 29. He feels like 59.
Now, that's a great point. Love that. Nick Whalen, what do you got for us?
Guys, I'm going to one of my favorite plays of the weekend, and that is the Seattle Seahawks to win and cover 5.5 at home against the Bo Nix-led Denver Broncos. And I'm starting to see a lot of Broncos love here. I think a lot of that stems from those final 2 games of the preseason where we saw a little bit more Bo Nix. He was playing multiple series. Look, I like what I saw as well. 23 of 30 passing for Bo Nix in the preseason. But if you watch those games, a lot of it is first read. A lot of it was coming against second and third teamers. Not a lot of throws down the field. I mean, the average depth of target was about as short as it could possibly be, hovering around 6 yards. That dink and dunk style, I don't know if that's going to be enough against this new look Seattle team. And we have a lot of questions, of course. There's a lot of mystery around what Seattle will look like, right? They were the slowest paced team in the NFL last season, despite being pretty efficient offensively. I think Mike McDonald and their new OC, Ryan Grubb, they want to crank this thing up. They want to create more big plays. And I think they have the personnel to do it, right? We have a healthy Geno Smith who was banged up down the stretch last season when Seattle kind of went in the tank. I think their defensive personnel is a lot better than it showed toward the end of last season. I think we see an improved secondary, especially for the Seahawks. And this is just a really tough spot for Bo Nix, making his first NFL start on the road in Seattle. I mean, that is a true road environment, right? You're not going to the Chargers. You're not going to the New York Giants. I mean, that is a really, really tough spot to play. We have not seen a rookie quarterback win against the spread or straight up in week 1 on the road since 2018, guys. That was Sam Darnold, who somehow put up 48 points on the Detroit Lions. I had to look that game up on Football Reference. I had no memory of that happening, but it's just a bad spot for Bo Nix, right? Part of this pick is I really like Seattle. I'm high on what this offense specifically can be. I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. Look into his player props this weekend, but a lot of it too is just, fading a rookie quarterback on the road and a rookie quarterback who I think could struggle. The last thing I'll say, the way Denver has operated over the last few weeks, this seems like a team that kind of knows it's rebuilding, right? Sean Payton didn't sign up for a rebuild. He's not a rebuilding coach. He maximizes his talent. But if that's the case, you let go of a bunch of veterans just in the last month, right? Justin Simmons is gone. Samaje Perine is gone. Tim Patrick is gone. I think Denver kind of recognizes that, all right, that this is a reset type of year. And I think that's what we see in week 1. I think we see Seattle win this game by at least a touchdown.
Wow, we had a Sam Darnold reference before he saw ghosts when he faced Bill Belichick. Very nice. Hopefully he's not seeing ghosts in week 1. More on that later. All right, my next pick. I like the Raiders getting 3 against the Chargers. First of all, we talk about Jim Harbaugh coming in and how the savior of the franchise. Hey, I get it. He's a good coach, no doubt. They bring in Greg Roman. They want to run. Well, first of all, the interior offensive line for the Chargers, they are not run blockers at all. The 3 of them are not good. Joe Alt, the tackle they drafted, first NFL game. The Raiders are no joke defensively. They're led by Max Crosby. They have a decent group of corners. Front 7, realistically, those linebackers, Robert Spillane leading that group, very solid group. I don't think the Chargers are going to move the ball on the ground and through the air. I just think the pass rush of the Raiders, when it needs to get home, can. Herbert missed time during training camp with foot injury as well. So on the other side, Raiders offensively, what can they do? We know Antonio Pierce, the head coach, they want to run the football. They have a good power blocking offensive line. And the one thing the Chargers don't have is a run defense. Not as bad as a couple of years ago, but this is still a bottom 3rd unit, maybe worse. And the Raiders will have their way to control the game. They probably win this outright, but the 3 points, they definitely shouldn't be getting that many. All right, back around the horn the final time. Bill Speros, what do you got for us?
I got 2 quick points. I think Bo Nix is actually older than Baker Mayfield. I want to double check that. I think he's going to be, actually he's older than Tom Brady. Speaking of Brady, he makes his debut Sunday, Dallas, Cleveland. So why not, right? Little contrarian play here, the over on the total, even though everything's screaming under. I don't want to play with the line here. You don't know what to expect. You think Cleveland dog pound, woof, woof, woof. The 7 of the last 8 Browns games have gone over. I think you're getting a discount with Dallas on this number. And again, this is sort of my week 1 against the grain. Everything's pointing one way, go the other play. I think Dak is itching to show off. He got his bag. And I think Deshaun Watson is sort of in the same boat. You have 2 quarterbacks, certainly Deshaun Watson, who, hasn't had the chance to be sort of himself for a while. And Brady in the booth, got the creamsicle right here, is going to make it fun to watch. And Nick, I don't want you to feel bad about forgetting about Sam Darnold. I often forget my name what day it is. I'm still looking for my keys. So don't sweat it, young man. It's all good.
All right. Appreciate you saying that, Bill.
Adam, what's your final pick?
Or it's all downhill from here. I'm not sure what the message is.
It's like the roller coaster, man, for me. And you know how it turns at the bottom? This coaster ain't turning. It's just going straight down.
I like the Lions on Sunday night. I think the Lions are the real deal. Jared Goff 7-0 against the spread in week 1, and the coach is crazy. So I think Detroit is going to be ready. They're going to hit the ground running right away from week 1. And the Rams, I mean, they have to, the defense, no Aaron Donald, and you can't replace him with one player or even two players probably. And they didn't really do a good job of replacing him with much of any players. So I think that defense is in a lot of trouble. And then offensively, Stafford is already banged up, and we haven't even gotten to week 1 yet. Nakua, he's going to play, but he's may not be 100% either. And if something does happen to Stafford in front of that porous offensive line, Jimmy Garoppolo is not there. He's suspended. So there is no plan B. I think this is the week, obviously they're well coached. They surprised a lot of people last year, including me. The Rams, I think, overachieved last year thanks to McVay. But I think week 1 here in Detroit with Goff, and this is their statement season. If they're ever going to do it, it might be right now. NFL ticket prices in Detroit, we did a thing about average ticket prices. Their average ticket price was sky high, the most in the NFL. Detroit, of all places, and I think it's because Detroit fever, Lions fever has caught. This is it. This is their year, and it has to start right now in week 1.
Adam, not only did they lose Aaron Donald in Los Angeles, their best linebacker who blitzes so well, Ernest Jones, got traded. Their defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, is gone. So yeah, I don't see them stopping anybody. Yeah, the Lions are going to put up some serious points here. Love that call. Nick, what's your last call for us this week?
Guys, I'm going to a total for my last bet here, and we're taking the under 42.5 in the Steelers-Falcons game. That's part of the early window on Sunday. You'll see some 42s out there. It is 42.5 at FanDuel, so make sure you shop around. Falcons are 3.5-point favorites right now, and this is probably a stay away for me at that number. Maybe would even lean Pittsburgh. This does just feel like a classic. How the hell did Mike Tomlin find a way to win this game? Or how is this a 3-point game with 2 minutes left? But I think both offenses could struggle here. The Falcons are essentially coming in cold, right? Kyle Pitts is a little bit banged up. They say he's going to be fine. We'll see. That's kind of the last thing you want to hear this time of year, specifically about Kyle Pitts. We didn't see Kirk Cousins really at all in the preseason. Reports are that the Achilles is fine. Apparently he threw a pick 6 in practice last week. It chased the defender all the way down. That's all well and good, but still some gelling needs to happen here for the Falcons offense. And I think this is a really good defense in Pittsburgh. And I think Pittsburgh, for the third or fourth straight year, they got to know what they are, right? I'm not optimistic on what Russell Wilson could bring to this offense. Is he better than Kenny Pickett? Yeah, marginally, probably. But I think you still have to play a very, concerted, safe approach, run-heavy approach on offense if you're Pittsburgh. The goal for the Steelers is to try to win this game like 17-14. I don't think we see a lot of fireworks on either side. I think we see long drives. I think we see a lot of running the ball for both teams. I'm high on what the Falcons can be long-term this season. I think if this offense really clicks, it could look a hell of a lot different than it has the last couple of years, but I'm forecasting a bit of a slow start for the Falcons offense. I think Atlanta can win this game, but I don't think it pushes over 42.5.
My last pick is I'm going with the Vikings -2 against the Giants. Offensively, the Giants, Kevin O'Connell runs the offense and Sam Darnold's the quarterback. But the beauty of that is they have 2 very good offensive tackles. And the fact is, the receivers will be schemed open quickly, and Justin Jefferson is there. And Sam Darnold should be able to get the ball to him. When Sam Darnold plays, the first few games where tape's out on him, he usually has some real good success. And if there's problems with the pass rush from the Giants, the screens out to Aaron Jones could be really, really effective here. Otherwise, the other side of the ball, we know Brian Flores is going to bring the house. He's going to blitz a lot. Now, it doesn't always get home. But what happened was the Vikings picked up 2 cornerbacks in the offseason, Shaq Griffin and Stephon Gilmore. Literally, if they could cover for 2 seconds, they're going to jam the receivers. And with that blitz being sent, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be able to handle that. He's going to see the pressure, even if it's not coming home. He's coming off an ACL. It's his first game back from that. Mobility is going to be a problem. That said, I see the Giants really struggling to move the ball, even though the Giants aren't a very good defense. I think the Giants actually sail in this one. All right, we're going to recap everyone's picks. We get a document up on the screen here, and we are going to give you a reminder of what we're looking for. So here we go. So we'll start with Bill Speros' picks. Dolphins minus the points, the Bucks minus the points, and you go over on Dallas Cleveland. Adam Thompson has the Bills -6, also agrees with Bill on the Bucks minus the points, and then the Lions minus the points. Nick Whalen goes with the Seahawks minus the points, disagrees with Adam Thompson on the Cardinals, takes the points with them as opposed to Adam taking the Bills. And finally, Nick likes Pittsburgh and Atlanta under 42.5. I went with the Jets +4.5, the Raiders plus the points, and the Vikings minus the points there. So that said, as we begin to look at this week, we are excited for week 1. We don't know what to expect, but we have a good handle, we believe, on these games. If you want to get picks, make sure you're bookmarking bookies.com/picks. Refer to that often. We have other sports there as well. New episode of the show every week. Make sure you come back. And next time we'll see you. Good luck in week 1, everyone.